Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys Blues, 1975. Using girls on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long Boys Blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Long Boys Post 1975, and welcome to the weekly driving vlog. You know, I worked last night, Saturday night, don't like working Saturday nights. So my reward on a Sunday morning is a Mackie D's breakfast. Today I've gone for a sausage and egg McMuffin. I don't like doing double sausage McMuffins because I may be a grown lad, but I'm not a fat bastard. Anyway, welcome to the weekly driving vlog. And welcome to another nostalgic memories of video. Yes, that's right. I'm crossing the streams and I'm combining them both into one video. No particular reason. I do like to normally sit in front of the camera for, you know, nostalgic memories of videos. But as I always say, doing them this way is just so convenient. It means by the time I get home, mainly because I want to have my breakfast, don't want it to get cold. But by the time I get home, it's all ready and done, and I just got to edit it. Telling you too much information, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more information. Look at this. Look at this. It's been pissing down all week, and as far as I can tell, it's going to piss down some more into next week, or this week now, I should say. And yeah, that absolutely suits me fine. If you like sunny weather, good for you. I'm not a negative person. I'm not a miserable bastard, but believe it or not, this is my ideal weather. Just because I sleep during the day, but I like rainy weather. You know, I don't know, people always say it's like the song, isn't it? I'm only happy when it rains. People look upon that as such an odd thing, but you know, each to their own. Taste is subjective, and that's the same when it comes to weather. How about this for a completely pointless intro to a video that is about my nostalgic memories of cover tapes. Let me turn the heat down, but not too much because I don't want it to fog up. Hopefully the wipers aren't too loud because I need some new blades. But yeah, hey, yes, nostalgic memories of cover tapes. I was thinking about this the other day because I was getting certain ZX Spectrum games out of the attic and basically put them aside because we're going to have to get rid of them. We're running out of room in the attic, and I have boxes and boxes of ZX Spectrum games, and I don't obviously want to you know, get rid of them, but I mean, you can emulate them and everything like that. So I'm kind of taking the ones out that I want to keep, such as, you know, like stuff like Robocop, you know, Batman, anything with a big box, pretty much anything with a big box that's made by Ultima. I don't even know if these things are worth it. And the thing is, it's sad, I'm probably going to have to throw them out. I might put them on Facebook to see if anyone wants to buy them, but it's not like you could take these sort of things to a charity shop, which I think is a bit weird because they eBay everything, you know, to make sure they get the value for it they can. Often they do it wrong because they don't realise that just because it's on eBay doesn't mean you can ask the same amount of money for it, because yours is cracked and yours doesn't have the instructions. But you know what I mean. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there would be a market if they had a tidy little section of old school cassette tapes, decent ones, that people would buy them, you know, and so you could take them to a charity shop. It just seems a shame that if I can't give them away, I'm going to have to throw them away. Not because I want to, but because, you know, space is the enemy of the collector. Anyway, during my, I really will get to the point in a minute. During me rummaging around through these games, came across a whole bunch of Crash Magazine cover tapes. Crash Magazine were like compilation cover tapes. I think they were part of the cover tape wars. Yes, cover tape wars was actually a thing. Look up a video by Kim Justice. It was great, you know, the cover tape wars, because it meant the consumer got really good games. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's not talk about that yet. But yeah, there were ones from Crash, they were the best. There were ones from your Sinclair user. Then there were random ones from stuff like Edge Magazine. Yeah, seriously, I think that was Mission Impossible. One side was the Spectrum, the other side was the Commodore 64, and then there was a CVG. There was a yellow tape that had R-Type on the Spectrum on one side, and I think on the other side was the Commodore 64 version. I'm really not sure on that because I didn't look on the other side, but they all brought memories flooding back. And you've got to remember that Spectrum kicked in 1982. I don't think cover tapes really kind of kicked in until sort of maybe 80, probably 1988, really. And initially when they kind of they kicked in, they're absolutely mind blown. You wait, you mean to say the magazine that I buy anyway, because we had a subscription, I say subscription, we ordered it from the local post office, so once a month we would get Sinclair User, and you know, when it came with a cover tape on it, it blew our minds as a kid. It was just like, wait, the magazine we get anyway is giving us a free game, you know, which really would have been free then, so it really was a big deal. Then outside of that, I use, and my brother sometimes used to use our own money to buy Crash magazine, which is basically Crash magazine is my favourite magazine from my childhood, because everything about it, you know, the art, the high score table in the middle, which I think Larry Bundy made a few times. I know Steve Benway did once as well, but you send in a picture and they would like do you like decapitated hanging from a tree, list the game you played and list the score with like blood coming out your neck and stuff. But yeah, their artwork was absolutely superb. But they started doing cover tapes, but initially they were like one game here or there, but they really were a big deal, because you got to remember in 1982, what was I, 7? So, I mean, in 1988, what was it, 11, 10, something like that. So even though I had a part-time job sweeping up in my dad's garage, you know, money, you know, getting a game was the preserve of Christmas or your birthday, or saving up loads and loads and loads, or buying them through the black and white adverts at the back when the game was almost like a year or so old, and you could buy it for like maybe £4 off and stuff like that. But when it said takes 28 days for delivery, my God, did they mean it took 28 days for delivery? It was bloody murder waiting for that as a kid. Anyway, I don't know how dark this is down here, even if it's going to come out, so put my high beams on. Sunday morning, who's driving on a Sunday morning apart from me? So yeah, so these cover tapes were an absolute big deal. So first of all, they'd be here and there, you know, just one game or so. Sinclair User gave us Bear a Grudge, which was like a Space Harrier game with their mascot, who was Kamikaze Bear, who was, well, a Kamikaze Bear. He was great artwork, the person who drew it, but my God, did they milk that mascot. And that was a pretty good game. Then, as I mentioned, there was Edge magazine, which we only bought because, once again, this was once upon a time a full price game, Impossible Mission. We only bought Edge magazine because it would have been like £2, maybe £3. So it was us getting a full price game for 1/3 of its price. But none of us liked Edge magazine. It was, I mean, even as a kid you say like, I'm grown up, I can play violent games. But even as a kid, Edge magazine, it was a multi-format magazine, it was just boring and too adult. And then they had that whole thing when they stopped people calling themselves Edge Software or something, wasn't it? But yeah, that was that we bought it just for that, and for a multi-format magazine it covered everything from PCs, from Amiga to IST. The fact that the game they decided to give away was on the Commodore and the ZX Spectrum, but that was an absolutely massive deal. Then, as I said, the really big deal was R-Type on CVG, again, yellow tape. Because it was only one level, but my God, it was just absolutely fantastic. And the Spectrum version is pretty much I don't mean to start wars, look at my Playground Wars gameplay of it, was pretty much the best version. But you know, once it became, you know, confirmed, or people who printed these magazines realised that these tapes really would boost their sales, then they kind of, it really kicked in. Like, I mean, really kicked in. You started getting maybe 3 games on a cover disc. Sinclair User was doing it, your Sinclair was doing it. You know, Crash, like I said, became eventually like absolutely mad. I mean, you get demos, which was brilliant. I mean, it's like PlayStation magazine years later on. Just because these were 8-bit machines doesn't mean that you didn't rinse and repeat the game again and again and again, because you were a kid and you didn't have money or disposable money for loads of games. But yeah, so they all started doing it, and I remember, what was it? Sinclair User had one of their reviewers in there. I can't remember her name, but then they gave her a game when she was the star of it. And then you would get special versions, like your Sinclair had a special version, a Monty Mole game called Moley Christmas. And you would get a cassette cover to cut out inside the magazine, but later on they would give you covers within the cassette, because initially they were just taped to the front of the magazine, and you had to be really careful when you pulled them off, or you'd rip the whole front off. And then sometimes you'd have to be really careful because, you know, due to where they stuck it on the front in the factory or whatever, sometimes you'd actually be touching the tape on the bottom, you know, that bit that was red and clear before it actually ran in, and that was a friggin' nightmare, you know, because it's not like you could take it back or anything like that. But yeah, so anyway, you got Moley Christmas, which was basically a 6-7 screen bonus version, or it's kind of like considered a Monty Knoll game. So that was really kind of cool. And then later on, then I mean obviously there was a special version of Dizzy, but then this is when it kicked in. Your Sinclair and Crash magazine went proper head to head, and it was like Crash was securing rights to get games that sometimes they would skip being budget games and come straight out on the cover tape. At the times they've been budget games, but these were once upon a time some of them were full release games, like $9.99 games, and you would get 5 of them on one tape. This was absolutely mind-blowing. This was towards the end of the Spectrum's lifespan, and it was a bit annoying at that point because Crash magazine became more of a pamphlet because it got bought out, more of a pamphlet than the former Glory magazine that it was. But yeah, 5 games, that was mind-blowing. They were constantly trying to one-up each other. But I do remember then you would get a demo, would be one of them possibly, but they had big things like we never got Last Ninja on the ZX Spectrum. It was a huge Commodore game. So when Last Ninja 2 was announced with the ZX Spectrum, and you were told that one of these Crash magazines, this was probably 1987, so maybe there were cover tapes of 1987. 1987, did I just say? Yeah, it was mind-blowing. That shifted a few magazines, I don't even know if it was a playable demo as such. You could just flip between screens, but it was Last Ninja 2 on a cover tape. That was mind-blowing. And all these things, all these games that you got to play, I'm struggling for names at the moment, mainly because I'm trying to concentrate and drive, but the fact that you could literally once a month go and buy a magazine. If you bought all 3 of these magazines, Sinclair User, Your Sinclair and Crash magazine, you could pretty much skip buying games. I mean, if you didn't have a massive library, so you would have some of these as sort of budget games and stuff like that, or have games going back years, so you had some of the ones that were full price, but then we bought these magazines. But yeah, I'm sorry, waffling. If you had if you bought all 3 of these magazines, and like I said, so what? You could literally drop a tenner a month on magazines, and that would be it. You pretty much have, if you're one of those people that would finish each and every game, back then when you were a kid, unlike you are now as an adult with your Xbox Ones and your PlayStation 4s, of which I'm just as guilty. But yeah, you would have, up to 15 games. I never bought 15 games a month when I was a kid before there were cover tapes. So this was a brilliant way, particularly if you were new. We're talking at this point, obviously Alan Sugar bought Sinclair, so you had the plus 2. So if you were just new and a little bit older than me at the time, then you would never have played any of these, and this would have been a perfect era for incredibly cheap gaming. I have such nostalgia for cover tapes because it really was. We didn't see the likes of this again. Seriously, this does actually that's the feeling. We didn't see the likes of this sort of amazingness again. So official PlayStation magazine started banging out, 5 single level playable demos on their cover disc, which pretty much was the same thing, more so on the PlayStation, because games being so bloody expensive. But yeah, this was fantastic. It was cheap gaming. It was really was, and also, before like Crash magazine got, let me put my screen back on, watered down into a pamphlet, not the huge massive magazine it was with the comic strip Terminal Man. Who remembers Terminal Man? You could buy the book on Amazon, but it's really expensive. But yeah, you also got a magazine to read, so this was generally something. I mean, we used to look forward to magazines, once a month anyway. So you'd have your amazing magazine, and then you'd have this amazing compilation tape of games on the front to play. It was absolutely fantastic. And then, like I said, I remember Sinclair User gave amazing. Ocean always gave loads of great demos away because they knew that and it was another way as well when it was the demos and not the full games. For if you had money, for you to truly work out what was a good game and not piss your money away on shit because you just looked at the back of it or never read a magazine. So they were great. So Ocean, you had maybe that was Crash, but you had a one playable level Robocop demo that, my god, did we rinse and repeat it. It was the second level, it was the warehouse. You had a playable Batman demo, you had a playable Untouchables demo, Operation Thunderbolt demo, Operation Wolf demo. So it wasn't just that you got games, but you also had amazing demos to play that you got to obviously see if the game was worth buying, but also to experience it before it came out. So I mean, this was fantastic. I mean, can you imagine saying to someone now, I mean, obviously this you know, like, hey, would you like to buy an Xbox magazine? Because I know you can download demos, but can you imagine if you could buy an Xbox One or PlayStation 4 magazine with a demo disc on the front, like PlayStation magazine, PlayStation 2 magazine? I'd buy it. Would you still buy it? I'd definitely buy it, regardless of the fact that we've got super fast internet and we can download stuff. That to me would just be awesome. If only because I grew, you know, up during it on the Spectrum with the PlayStation, I'd have nostalgia for it, but not everyone can be asked to download shit. Not everyone else has brilliant internet. But anyway, I'm waffling off topic. I have such nostalgic memories of these cover tapes that came on these magazines, the 3 magazines mainly that I said. I mean, was it the book? I'm pretty sure the cover tape was having this many games on a free tape on the front of a magazine, and magazines competing with each other. Pretty much. I'm not saying there weren't cover tapes for the Amstrad Commodore 64, but that many games, you know, magazines competing with each other. I want to say pretty much sure that was the preserve of the Spectrum. If you had an Amstrad or a Commodore, I mean, how many cover tapes were there on magazines like that? I mean, you crashed it, then Zap 64 must have done it. But I don't know, I don't remember. I mean, even when I went out to buy Crash, and I'd be, you know, obviously looking for that and not looking for anything else, I don't remember ever seeing stuff on the front of Zap, but obviously I could be wrong. Then obviously there's stuff like the BBC, Acorn Electra, stuff like that. Pretty sure you never got tapes and you got the shaft. But anyway, basically, I have such nostalgia and warm memories of these cover tape days, because more than enough games to play without you having to break the wallet or, you know, your savings as a kid. And also, you know, the fact that it came on a magazine, so it was a fun, enjoyable, you know, highlight of the month, because none of these magazines came out at the same time, so they'd be, you know, which was another great thing, another thing I have amazing memories of. So 3 of these magazines would be across the month. Absolutely brilliant. Again, just an era that's completely and utterly dead, and you know, we will I can say that, guaranteed, we will never see the likes of again. Anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think. What are your memories of cover tapes on magazines for the 8-bit micros? And if you had a Spectrum, do you remember the glory of the cover tape wars? Look how foggy it is. John Carpenter must be doing a spell. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Oi, look at that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.